Hi, everybody. It's Mrs. Dunn. This is part 2 of this massive section on quadratic equations, functions, zeros, and models. In this specific video, what we're going to do is solve a quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. All right, let's do it. So the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula comes from a quadratic equation in standard form. So realize that A, B, and C are the coefficients of the quadratic equation. And that's the A, B, and C that's referred to in the quadratic formula. So here in this big blue box is the quadratic formula. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, let's look at a specific example where we're going to use the quadratic formula. All right, so solve by using the quadratic formula. 5x squared plus 2 is equal to x. First of all, do you notice that's not in standard form? So to put it into standard form, we have to set it equal to 0. So we'll subtract x from both sides of the equation. Now what we're going to do is try to use the quadratic formula. Notice this isn't factorable. That's why we need to use the quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula, remember, negative b plus or minus b, the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug our a, b, and c into that formula. Remember, a is 5, b is negative 1, and c is negative 2. So when I plug that in the formula, I have minus negative 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 1 squared. Notice that I have a negative 1 in parentheses. If you're doing this in your calculator, make sure you have a negative 1 in parentheses. Minus 4 times 5, which is a, times c, which is negative 2. And that's all over 2 times 5, 2 times a. So now the next few screencasts, next few slides, I'm just going to simplify this quadratic formula. So the opposite of negative 1 is 1, plus or minus negative 1 squared is a positive 1, and negative 4 times 5 times negative 2 is a positive 40. And 40 plus 40 plus 1 is 41. So the solutions are x is equal to 1/10 plus the square root of 41 over 10 and 1/10 minus the square root of 41 over 10. All right, that's it. Hope you do well with this section. Email me if you have any questions.